Hey, hey, it's me, Craigie B. It is Thursday, March the 6th, 2025, and I am posting for the 6th day on the trot as part of MS Awareness Month. And I thought I would, as usual, report that I have this morning been for my morning jog, and I only needed to stop very briefly and walk part of the way a couple of times. So uh, on this occasion, I managed to jog the furthest I have to date in one go. And for the first time since my MS diagnosis way back in 2019, I have been jogging 6 days on the trot so far. So I'm really pleased about that. Also, today, I'm happy to say, is my birthday, and yet again, the weather is fantastic. This is 6 days on the trot now. That the weather's beautiful. Um, Unbelievable scenes. I thought I would briefly share a little about my personal MS journey. I will endeavour to keep it short. So, back in late February 2019, my health had disassembled really quite rapidly to the extent that I was trapped inside the house, exhausted from um, knowing that morning on the 21st of Feb 2019, so just over 6 years ago, I knew that I was going to need an ambulance, and um, somewhat due to my own foolish pride, I did my best, despite the fact my legs refused to support my weight, to get dressed, changed, and showered before calling for the ambulance. And by the time I did actually call the ambulance, I was stranded halfway down the staircase because I'd just run out of steam. And um, so neither of my legs would support my body weight. My right leg had become so unresponsive. The only way I could move it was by shoveling it around with my hands. And it, in order to move around the house at the time, I needed this, um, my trusty cricket bat from the days when I used to play the sport. And in order to navigate the house, I would literally use my arms to launch myself from one object to the next in order to maneuver myself around the house. I had sensory loss from the chest down. I'm just putting my cricket bat away. I had sensory loss from the chest down, and I could only really feel temperature um, because my body was numb. My arms were fine and functional, thank goodness, and the feelings in my arms were fine, more or less. I had tingling in the extremities, like the fingers, um, but um, I had a laundry list of other issues, other symptoms, which were really quite troubling. And in that moment in time, I was really quite scared. Upon arrival in hospital, scans revealed I had lesions or scars inside my bonds, and also inside my spinal column. And I was later that spring formally diagnosed with MS. My time in hospital was really interesting, but um, as soon as the surgeon responsible for my case said I had lesions in my brain and my spinal column, the first thought I had was, am I dying? Because he didn't really explain anything. One thing he did say was that top of his list of suspects for what might be wrong with me was in fact MS, and he began testing a process of testing that, with that particular outcome or cause in mind. Now, although I had that initial thought, am I dying? when he first explained what was going on, and he did nothing to allay the thoughts that were going on inside my mind either. I immediately put that thought out of my head and began imagining myself walking to the local cricket club, which is about half a mile from home for me, and that was the last I thought of anything so dire, any outcomes as dire as that. But there is one decision I made in that moment in time, which I stand by to this day as being the most important thing I did in that moment. Was I decided not to look up anything about MS. I didn't go online, I didn't join any support groups or anything like that. And I only began doing that at the turn of this year, 6 full years after the event. And I must say that I'm so pleased that that is what I did, and that I focused my mind purely on getting better and imagining being fit and healthy in the future. I'm certain that that is what um, enabled me to get better as quickly as I did. And the reason I say this is that having spent time this year on MS support groups and inside communities um, devoted to people spending time together who have MS, the stories I've read have been so depressing and horrifying that I am absolutely certain that I would be in a terrible state by now. And I'm glad I took the path that I did. And for me, I dread to think where I would be had I have joined any of those support groups as soon as it was suspected that it was MS that I had. I cannot tell you how how glad and blessed I feel that I made that decision back then, and I'm certain that had I joined all of those groups and read people's stories about the things that the challenges they faced, I'm certain I still wouldn't be out jogging this month, because the stuff I've come across is just horrifying, and I just really feel for people who actually um, go ahead and find out as much as they can as soon as they get their diagnoses. I would dread to think where I would be right now. I would probably be on all sorts of drugs just to keep going. And the stories that I've been coming across are simply horrifying to me. Um, so I just feel so blessed and so happy that I've made it to another birthday. I'm just so happy this morning, and I'm going to leave it at that. And I'll speak to you again real soon. Bye for now.